on lunar surface conditions or orbits around the moon, or even just in assembly of the spacecraft, the vehicles. But they can also ask for help during the mission. We provide help through our deep space network to get the communications, to bring the data back to the control center here, to help them maybe understand their orbit better or get more communication with the spacecraft as well. So both in advance of the mission and during the mission also.
And CLIPS is just one way that NASA is using, we're working to strengthen the American space economy. So what are some other ways, and why is NASA pursuing this commercial route for complicated space missions?
So about how much gas are we giving this to slow down the vehicle? And we want to remind folks that this PDI burn goes
commanded thrust 90%.
Goes in just about 90%, right on time. So it goes in at 90% in order to, if the lander makes a decision and says, I need to slow down more and make a decision to make a safe landing, it's able to add a little bit more oomph and make that decision a reality rather than just a possibility.
Fido, I'm showing 500 kilometers to target, but my display's a little bit stale.
That's the mission director, Tim Crane, calling about 500 kilometers, but stating that his information might be just a bit stale.
About 1,000 psi in the helium tank.
It's part of the reason we're showing this animation, Josh. Of course, this is not telemetry driven. We're just showing you exactly what's happening. As we hear the calls, this information is relayed through the audio loops. Not enough bandwidth to do a live stream of this, so we're relying on the data that's being fed from Nova C to Nova Control.
Yeah, that data is going into the flight controllers, and what you're seeing on your screen right now is just to give you an idea of the vehicle's attitude. You heard them talking about moving to a burn attitude. This is what we expect Nova C is doing right now. It is a simulation in the large screen just to give you an idea of what's happening over these critical approximate 10, 11 minutes of PDI, powered descent initiation, trying to slow Nova C down, bring that acceleration down to about 1,800 meters per second. And there's some follow-on steps after that, Gary. It involves pitching over the lander using that gimbaled engine. We heard the maneuver to burn attitude followed by main engine gimbal checkout. So they'll use that gimbal to pitch the lander over and start a vertical descent. This is where we start getting a little tricky as far as there is a final approach. It may add a few seconds, it may add a little bit of time, but we are intended to land right around 17:24. That's 5:24 p.m. Central Time. But know that there is some give and take. We're also expecting, plan for, and train for a little bit of loss of communication during this process.
That's right. And that communication is absolutely important. And part of the reason, and we've been stressing this, Josh, is the autonomous operations of Nova C. Part of that is after it performs that pitch over maneuver.
400 seconds to go and braking 1. Good control.
Fido, I see TRN depause processing in flight.
All right, that was the call that we were waiting for. That was our major problem we've been working on in this dynamic situation, is getting those images processed from the HRN camera, TRN camera, which in this case, a dynamic situation, we had to improvise a little bit and reach into those 2 laser beams from NDL, figure out a patch while we were in lunar orbit, just about 2 hours, and it sounds like we are getting good readings from those images. Absolutely remarkable feat. We also happened here, I think it was 400 seconds remaining. That was coming from Fido and Flight Dynamics. Sean Stewart working the console this evening.
This is excellent calls to hear. Hazard relative navigation is going to be used after the pitch over maneuver. This allows Nova.
Show you've heard Gary and I talking about the problem that was attempted to be solved in lunar orbit, making the decision to not only postpone this show.
NDL indicates altitude of 1,000 meters.
1,000 meters call out from NDL. That is coming from flight management. This is a system right now. NDL was not intended to be the primary landing system on this. Instead, we're using 2 laser beams from NDL and feeding that into that hazard detection and avoidance system that you see on your screen right now, with the lander making autonomous decisions about where it wants to land. That is generally
less than 1 minute remaining to touchdown.
Less than 1 minute remaining for touchdown.
And again, that's the time of touchdown. It may take some time to actually confirm the status of the lander.
And in this process, we do have a deployment of Eagle Cam attempting to take the third-person images of Nova C going down to the lunar surface. We are inside of 1 minute, Gary.
Yes, we're well on the blowdown.
And we're tracking here in the broadcast booth. The clock has reached the expected.
May take a minute for comms to reestablish. Standby.
There it is, mission director beating us to it. We've reached the expected time of landing, but now is the...
All stations, this is mission director on IM-1. We're evaluating how we can refine that signal and dial in the pointing for our dishes. What we can confirm, without a doubt, is our equipment is on the surface of the moon, and we are transmitting. So, congratulations, IM team. We'll see how much more we can get from that.
An excellent call from our mission director, Dr. Tim Crane.
IM-1.
And over to our
Prime.
CEO, Steve Altemus.
Yeah, if I could just pass on a few words to the entire team in Intuitive Machines at SuperBab and here in the Mission Control. What an outstanding effort. I know this was a nail biter, but we are on the surface and we are transmitting. And welcome to the moon.
Houston, Odysseus has found his new home.
An excellent call, and this is our team of Intuitive Machines mechanics and their families, their friends, everyone who has sacrificed so much to make it this far.
Stations.
How about that call, Gary? That was something else, a faint signal. Now it's time to work on refining that signal. But Dr. Tim Crane, our mission director today, making the call. Odysseus has a new home.
It shows the disciplines of the flight controllers in Nova Control. They waited until there was absolute confirmation that there was a signal, and then that was when they took the moment to celebrate. We saw that it wasn't just the individuals in Nova Control that contributed to the mission. The contributions to enable the success of Nova C's landing on the moon stretches far and wide. We showed, of course, some of the folks watching there, but really it extends even farther than this. A wonderful and truly amazing moment to celebrate. The U.S. has landed on the moon once again.
And to everyone, you mentioned it goes beyond just the folks that we saw on camera waiting and working through those tense moments, but their friends, their families, and everything it took to get to this point. We're still expecting an image. We expect that to come down sometime in the future, especially as we look towards some high-resolution images. Let's go ahead and it sounds like we do have a message we'd like to cut to. Can we have that message special for our folks, our employees, and folks watching at home?
Hey, that's right. With Nova C landing at Malapert A, congratulations, like you said, Josh, are flooding into the teams that made this happen. Really sets a tone for the American leadership and the future of a strong lunar economy. So here's NASA Administrator Bill Nelson.
On the 8th day of a 250,000-mile voyage, a voyage along the Great Cosmic Bridge from the launch pad at the Kennedy Space Center to the target of the south pole of the moon, a commercial lander named Odysseus, powered by a company called Intuitive Machines, launched upon a SpaceX rocket carrying a bounty of NASA scientific instruments and bearing the dream of a new adventure in science, innovation, and American leadership in space. Well, all of that aced the landing of a lifetime. Today, for the first time in more than a half-century, the U.S. has returned to the moon. Today, for the first time in the history of humanity, a commercial company, an American company, launched and led the voyage up there. And today is a day that shows the power and promise of NASA's commercial partnerships. Congratulations to everyone involved in this great and daring quest at Intuitive Machines, SpaceX, and right here at NASA. What a triumph! Odysseus has taken the moon. This feat is a giant leap forward for all of humanity. Stay tuned.
All right, thank you, Administrator Nelson. Again, Nova C and the United States has landed on the moon at 5:23 p.m. Central Time today, February 22nd, 2024. Congratulations to Intuitive Machines on the successful landing. Science and data gathering is already underway and will continue for roughly 7 days on the lunar surface, activating payloads and gathering important scientific data to help ensure future successes in Artemis missions. For more about NASA's CLIPS initiative, visit nasa.gov/CLIPS.
Gary, it's been quite a journey for all of us at Intuitive Machines. Thanks to NASA for the continued support to enable today's successful landing, and of course, everyone at Intuitive Machines, their friends and family who made all of this possible. That will wrap up our coverage of Intuitive Machines' IM-1 mission. Thanks for joining us.